We will now call the business session of the October 19, 2021 meeting to order at 6 p.m. Welcome to all our guests. We provide an opportunity for the public to address the City Council on any agenda item or during the hearing of visitors portion of the agenda. On items other than public hearings, speakers will be allotted 1 3-minute presentation regardless of the number of agenda items the speaker wishes to address. If you are here to speak and have not filled out a registration card, please see the City Secretary staff at the registration table outside of the auditorium so that staff can contact you if necessary. If you have handouts, please let us know at the beginning of your presentation and staff will distribute those to council. If you're unable to approach the podium due to physical limitations, a microphone is available to be brought to you. Please join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The first item of business is to consider the minutes of the October 5th, 2021 City Council meeting. Those minutes were provided to you in your meeting packet. Are there any corrections? If no, those minutes will stand as approved as submitted, and we will move to public hearing 2021-757.
Honorable Mayor, members of the council, this is a public hearing to consider a resolution approving the following subdivision plat. Preliminary plat of the Liberty Oaks addition. By a vote of 10-0, Plan Commission recommended that the plat be approved.
Are there any questions for staff? If not, we will open a public hearing. Is there anyone here to speak on this item? If not, we'll close the public hearing. Is there a motion?
I'll move for approval.
Second.
Any discussion? Please poll the council.
Holmes.
Aye.
Palmer.
Aye.
Borderood.
Yes.
Fairfield.
Yes.
Meek.
Yes, that motion carries, and we'll move to public hearing 2021-758.
Honorable Mayor, members of the council, this is a public hearing to consider a resolution granting a special permit to Mark and Sylvia Ashley for a short-term rental type 1 in R1 district on property described as a 1.1 acre tract of land in the Carlos Ocampo survey in McLennan County, Texas, being a part of a certain 0.26 acre tract of land and part of a certain 7.89 acre tract of land conveyed to W.F. Young, 359, page 127, respectively, of the McLennan County, Texas deed records, and being a part of that certain 0.14 acre tract of land conveyed to Marianne Mule and Ruth Young Taggart by deed dated May 12, 1982, and recorded in volume 1409, page 520, that said deed records, property ID number 183959, known as 4209 South 3rd Street. By a vote of 9-0 with 1 abstention, the Planning Commission recommended approval of the request based on the following findings. 1, that the proposed use is consistent with the comprehensive plan. 2, the proposed use is compatible with the appropriate and orderly development of the area which is located. 3, the proposed use would not be more objectionable to neighboring properties because of traffic congestion, noise, fumes, vibrations, or any other characteristics than any use permitted in the zoning district without the grant of the special exception. And 4, that available community facilities and services, including the road system providing access to the proposed use, are adequate for the proposed use.
Are there any, are there any questions for staff? Sorry. We will open a public hearing for comments. Is there anyone here to speak on this item? If not, we'll close the public hearing, and I'll ask for a motion.
Move for approval.
Second.
Any discussion? Please poll the council.
Holmes.
Aye.
Palmer.
Aye.
Borderood.
Yes.
Fairfield.
Yes.
Meek.
Yes, that motion carries, and we'll move to public hearing 759.
Honorable Mayor, members of the council, this is a public hearing to consider an ordinance of the City of Waco, Texas, providing that the comprehensive plan be amended to change the land use designation from urban residential to mixed-use flex on property described as lots 6 and 7, Block 8 of the Cohen addition known as 724 North 19th Street. Providing that the Code of Ordinances of the City of Waco be amended by revising Section 28-247 and Chapter 28 zoning of said code. Providing that the zoning map shall be changed of a certain property described above shall be changed from R1B district classification become and be designated in O3 district classification. And providing for penalties, providing severability clause, and finding and determine the meeting at which this ordinance is passed is open to the public as required by law. By a vote of 10-0, Plan Commission recommended approval of land use designation change based on the following findings. 1, the public infrastructure is adequate to provide for zoning districts allowed in the proposed mixed-use flex land use designation. And 2, the property is located across the street, North 19th Street, from properties designated as mixed-use flex. They also recommended approval of the zone change based on the following findings. 1, the proposed zoning is keeping with the land use component of the comprehensive plan as revised. 2, the public infrastructure is adequate to provide for uses allowed in O3 zoning. 3, the property meets all the area and width requirements for O3. 4, the proposed O3 zoning is compatible with surrounding area. And 5, there's O3 zoning across the street from the subject property.
Are there any questions for staff? We will open a public hearing for comment, and I do believe Ms. Rodriguez, the owner, is registered to speak. Ms. Rodriguez?
I thought I had to speak, but I don't need to.
Okay. Great. Is there anyone else? So you would, just to be clear, you would like not to speak?
I thought I had to. So
Okay. No, you don't have to. Is there anyone else here to speak? If not, we'll close the public hearing, and I'll ask for a motion. I move for approval.
Second.
Any discussion?
Yeah, I have some thoughts on this. This is a beautiful property in Sanger Heights. However, where this is situated in the neighborhood, it is really right on the edge of so many single-family homes. This is a really rich R1B neighborhood, and I want to preserve that for years to come. Sanger Heights, both the neighborhood association and the neighbors at large share a really rich sense of neighborliness with one another and really enjoy being there. And I fear having this O3 start to bleed in this direction is moving the neighborhood in a different direction. And so for that reason, I will be voting no on this.
I'll chime in here too, that anytime that we're changing resi zoning to a different zoning, in this case O, I think the bar is raised a little bit on what we do with alternative uses of the property. So I'll respectfully be voting no on this one as well.
Yeah, I think on my end, I think I'm worried about, after we've hashed out what I thought was a pretty good compromise on short-term rentals, is that essentially fighting what may be proxy battles over us trying to kind of grandfather in existing short-term rentals with subsequent owners. And then we'll probably see applications on the front end trying to pre-approve zoning changes so that short-term rentals can come in. And so in that light, I'll be voting no against this.
I agree with my fellow council members. I seconded the motion so we can move forward in the discussion. I too fear that with the zoning change, it just makes short-term rentals are guaranteed. You know, you can do them in O3 zoning, and I think that we're incredibly intentional about how we set the parameters about what that is and how we in proximity to residences in the neighborhoods, and so I also will be voting no.
For me, this is a incredibly historic asset that was literally, there's Waco Trib articles that J.B. Smith wrote that showed that this was on literally the city was about to tear it down. I actually walked through it when the doors were wide open and it was under different ownership. And so it was literally on the breach of the city bulldozing one of the oldest houses in Sanger Heights to the ground. And a non-residential use was required to financially save this house. But for a single family would have never put the money into saving this house. And because a non-residential use and those dollars came forward, the historic asset in Waco was saved and preserved. I think I would feel different about this if there weren't multiple offices literally across the street. But because it's around offices, and because a great local family here utilizes this as a business and needed to utilize it as a business to protect the historic asset from being demolished by the city, it seems to make very clear sense to me that for the sake of preserving historic assets like this, we need to be thoughtful about how to walk a balanced approach to this. And there's going to be times where it doesn't make sense for us to issue a zoning change. But for those reasons, and because our planning commission voted this unanimously, it seems to me to make sense that it would be unfair to a property owner who's gone to incredible financial debt risk to preserve a historic asset, believing that it could be operated as a non-residential use, to then say you can't use it as a non-residential use, but thank you for saving this historic home and spending all this money and going to this great financial risk. So that's why I believe it's the right thing to do, again, given the office buildings surrounding it, or at least surrounding part of it.
Mayor, she's requested that she could have a chance to speak.
Let's wrap up discussion, and then we can reopen the public hearing.
And help me understand, and this may be a Clint question, if it is a non-residential, what is its current zoning?
So right now, it's a R1B, single-family zoning.
And at the time when the financial risk was incurred and the property was given, this council had a different approach to short-term rentals, and we're frankly in a different housing market. We would give short-term rental permits generously at the time, particularly for houses like this that were being historically preserved. And we have changed, and the needs in Waco has changed. And I think that the approach we've taken has been right, but given the historical context of this and the financial risk is why I've landed where I have. So with that, we will reopen the public hearing. And Ms. Rodriguez, if you have any comments.
I'm sorry, I'm new to this. I misunderstood all of this process. But I just want to say a few things on behalf of my husband and I, but
You need to tell us your name and your address.
I'm
Jennifer was trying to get to the mic.
Kimberly Rodriguez, and I live at 3071 Rockbridge Road in McGregor, in your zone, actually. And we own the property at 724 North 19th Street. And for me, this petition is really just about being authentic. I don't like living in a way that isn't true. And the truth is that this home is not really a home. You sit on the front porch and you're looking at a beautiful, bustling, other female-owned business across the street, a salon with women parking in front of the Morrill House all day long, going in and out, getting facials, getting treatments, getting their hair done. Diagonally across is the McLennan Arc building, which is now for sale. I don't know what'll end up there. To the left is basically the dumpsters of the apartments or townhomes that are right there. To the right, on the same front porch, you see Antioch's newest building. That's my church. I'm not mad at that. I'm just trying to set the stage for the reality that that home is not going to be a house to anybody. No one's going to want to live on that busy intersection where you have no backyard and no parking structure. That house was scheduled to be torn down weeks before my friend bought it and a few months before I bought it from her. And that home blesses not just me, but all of Waco. It has 17,000 Instagram followers. It's been in 5 national publications of magazines. It's beautiful inside and out. And we host thousands of guests every year from all over the world. And I really believe that long before hundreds of other people were doing it, we've been ambassadors for Waco all over the world by greeting people, welcoming people. We have a blog that shares all the local businesses and invites people to come and participate in the local part of what makes Waco special. And I'm not here because I want to sell the property. I hope I own it till I die. I'm here because I want to be authentic. And the truth is, all of the buildings across the street and all around me, except for the empty lot to my right, which people have owned and sold and owned and sold and nobody builds on it, it's all businesses. And all the homes across the street on the block across from me are all zoned differently and could be businesses. So I just felt, I read and I support the fact that Waco needs homes. And I think you saw me quoted in the Waco Trib saying, there is a housing crisis in Waco. But this house is unique in that it literally, when you opened up the front door, you could see the earth and the sky. And nobody wanted it, not just right then, but for years. And it would be another empty lot, but for the risk that each of us have taken to keep it alive.
Thank you, Ms. Rodriguez. Okay, any other discussion? Or we'll close the public hearing. Any other discussion? Please, public counsel.
Holmes,
No.
Palmer,
No.
Borderood,
No.
Fairfield,
No.
Meek.
Yes, that motion fails, and we'll move to public hearing 760.
Honorable Mayor, members of the council, this is a public hearing to consider a resolution to approve the final plan unit development for property described as 7.02 acre tract of land situated in the TJ Chambers survey, abstract number 7, City of Waco, McLennan County, Texas, and being all of tracts A and C and a portion of tract B described in corrective special warranty deed to DSWN's LLC, a Missouri Limited Liability Company, recorded in McLennan County Clerk's file number 2010-008408 of the official public records of McLennan County, Texas. Tract C, further described as Lot 1, Block 1 of the Graves Addition, according to the final plat thereof, as recorded in Volume 919, page 619 of the deed records of McLennan County, Texas, together with a portion of Lot 1, Block 1 of the Equipment Depot Addition, according to final plat thereof, as recorded in Volume 127, page 821 of the being Tract A, known as 4300 South Jack Colgan Expressway. By a vote of 10-0, Plan Commission recommended approval of the final PUD plan based on the following findings and conditions. The findings are: the final PUD plan is consistent with the approved concept PUD plan, conditions of the approved concept PUD plan, and the requirements of the PUD ordinance. 2, the circulation plan, public facilities and service plan, preliminary architectural plan, and site development and landscaping plan, including the final PUD, are adequate. And then the conditions are: at the time of development, full building plans must be submitted, meeting all the City of Waco development requirements, including but not limited to the following: applicable building code, site grading and drainage, parking, signage, vehicle and pedestrian access and circulation, landscaping, refuse location and access, and fire protection location and access. Building permits will not be issued until full compliance with all development standards of the City of Waco and approved PUD plans. 2, the property must be platted, meeting all requirements of the PUD and subdivision ordinance before the issuance of building permits. Off-site sewer extension and easement dedication are required. 3, the entrance-only driveway off South New Road shall be vacated and removed when the proposed road extension through the adjacent Thanksgiving Park development is constructed. If the road extension remains private, an acknowledgement agreement shall be recorded with the adjacent property owner of Thanksgiving Park addition regarding the future connection to South New Road. 4, hours of operation shall be limited from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m., and 5, gates shall be installed at entrances and exits and shall be closed when the truck wash is not open for business.
Are there any questions for staff? We will open a public hearing for comment. Is there anyone here to speak on this item? If not, we'll close the public hearing. Is there a motion?
Move for approval.
Second.
Sorry. Said that too.
Any discussion? Please poll the council.
Holmes,
Aye.
Palmer, Borderood,
Yes.
Fairfield,
Yes.
Meek.
Yes, that motion carries, and we'll move to the consent agenda. The following resolutions have been pulled from the consent agenda: Resolution 2021-6, 763, and I believe we have a card from Dr. Northcutt on that.
Alan Northcutt, and you do have a handout. Now, the $34 million Rescue Plan Act, the City of Waco will use for important needs in the city, but those should also include responsibility to use funds in a manner responsive to the climate crisis. The city's begun to address the crisis by buying a few electric vehicles, but all economic sectors have to be taken into account. And in this act, there's a lot of buildings involved, and the process that has to happen in building is called electrifying everything. In other words, we have to get rid of natural gas in new buildings and remodeling and retrofits and so forth. So why is this vital? Well, because burning natural gas and other fossil fuels for inside buildings, for heating, cooking, water heating, contributes 10% of total greenhouse gas emissions in the United States, 10%. So already as a result, California has 30 cities where they've totally banned natural gas in new construction, and across the country, proposals for banning natural gas are being considered. Now, in addition to the emissions, burning fossil fuels indoors produces particulates, carbon monoxide, nitrogen dioxide. So you have indoor air pollution, which is harmful to our health. We know that children, for example, that are exposed to gas stoves have an increased risk of asthma. And studies have shown that people of color are more likely to be harmed by pollution from indoor gas stoves. So looking at the rescue plan, there's a lot of buildings involved, new affordable housing, home rehabilitation, a city hall boiler replacement. I don't know if that's natural gas or electricity, Lions Park redevelopment. But the point is that I think all of these should be looked at by the city and committed to just using electricity. At this point, I think there's the time and the money. This is a great opportunity to make some progress moving away from natural gas. And I would assume if these are the things that are owned by the city could do so pretty easily, just eliminate natural gas. And one advantage of this is it's cheaper on the construction side because you only have to do the electricity. You don't have to put in the gas lines and appliances and so forth. So the installation part is cheaper. Also, in the future, this is going to happen, so you might avoid, a retrofit later on by doing it right now. So I would propose that the city, commit in this resolution to excluding natural gas whenever possible and doing electricity only in this construction, particularly for city-owned buildings.
Dr. Northcutt,
Thank you.
is there a motion?
I'll move for approval.
Second.
Any discussion? Please poll the council.
Holmes.
Aye.
Palmer.
Aye.
Porterud.
Yes.
Fairfield.
Yes.
Meek.
Yes, that motion carries, and we'll move to the rest of the consent agenda. That is Resolution 2021-761 through 782, except for 763. Is there a motion?
I'll move for approval.
Second.
Any discussion? Please poll the council.
Holmes. Palmer.
Aye.
Porterud. Fairfield.
Yes.
Meek.
Yes, that carries, and we'll move to ordinance 2021-783.
An ordinance providing for the extension of certain boundary limits of the city of Waco, Texas, and the annexation and designation of suburban residential as the comprehensive plan land use designation, and the designation of an R1A single-family residence district and plan unit development zoning of certain territory, the territory, consisting of the following described tracts. Number one, a 251.06 acre tract of land located in the Archibald Heron Survey, Abstract 404, and the Aaron Cullen Survey, Abstract 237, McLennan County, Texas, and being all of a called 193 acre tract of land to Gerald Farr listed in a probate recorded in McLennan County Clerk's document 2018-01-0601 of the official public records of McLennan County, Texas, and described in meets and bounds as a fourth tract. All of that called 25.5 acre tract of land to Gerald Farr listed in a probate recorded in McLennan County Clerk's document 2018-01-0601 of the official public records of McLennan County, Texas, and described in meets and bounds as tract 5 and part of that called 218 acre tract of land. All in deed to W.W. Dial as recorded in volume 127, page 302 of the deed records of McLennan County, Texas. Number two, a 109.819 acre tract of land located in the Lorenzo D. Bragg Survey, Abstract 101, McLennan County, Texas, being all of a called 109.8 acre tract of land in a deed to Cooper's Real Estate Investment Corp., as recorded in McLennan County Clerk's document 2007-000942 of the official public records of McLennan County, Texas. And number three, a 37.983 acre tract of land located in the Aaron Cullen Survey, Abstract 237, McLennan County, Texas, being part of a called 218 tract of land to Gerald Farr, listed in a probate recorded in McLennan County Clerk's document 2018-01-0601 of the official public records of McLennan County, Texas, and described by meets and bounds in a deed to W.W. Darrell, as recorded in volume 143, page 626 of the deed records of McLennan County, Texas. Number 4, a 40.696 acre tract of land located in the Aaron Cullen Survey Abstract 237, being all of a called 40.735 acre tract of land described in a deed to the city of McGregor as recorded in McLennan County Clerk's document 2004-043847 of the official public records of McLennan County, Texas. And number 5, a 2.752 acre tract of land located in the Archibald Heron Survey Abstract 404, and the Benjamin J. Baxter Survey, Abstract 102, being a portion of the Valverde Road, said territory being located along or near the east side of Valverde Road, and including the adjacent Valverde Road right-of-way, and further located in Waco's extraterritorial jurisdiction, which said territory lies adjacent to and adjoins the present boundary limits of the city of Waco, Texas. Creating a planned unit development on the PUD property, approving the concept plan for the planned unit development, assigning the annexed territory to City Council District 5, establishing City of Waco Precinct 78, which will consist of the annexed territory, directing that the city precinct district map be revised to reflect that change, and providing voting location at any City of Waco voting center, providing that said territory bears pro rata part of taxes, and entitling inhabitants to all rights and privileges of citizens, and binding inhabitants to acts and laws of the city, adopting a service plan, providing a severability clause, providing for publishing of the ordinance, providing penalties therefore, and finally determining the meeting at which this ordinance is passed to open the public as required by law. This ordinance was approved by a 5-0 council vote on first reading.
Is there a motion?
I'll move for approval on second reading.
Second.
Any discussion? Please poll the council.
Holmes.
Aye.
Palmer.
Aye.
Porterud.
Yes.
Fairfield.
Yes.
Meek.
Yes, that motion carries, and we'll move to ordinance 2021-784.
An ordinance amending Article 6, Speed Regulations, in Chapter 25, Traffic and Vehicles of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Waco, McLennan County, Texas, by adding Section 25-133.1 to adopt a temporary construction speed zone of 45 miles per hour on State Highway 6 frontage roads from Beverly Drive to the Robinson city limits. Repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing a severability clause, providing for inclusion in the code, providing for a penalty, providing for an effective date, and finally determining the meeting at which this ordinance was passed was open to the public as required by law. This ordinance was approved by a 4-0 council vote on first reading on October 5th, 2021.
Is there a motion?
Move for approval on second reading.
Second.
Any discussion? Please poll the council.
Holmes.
Aye.
Palmer.
Aye.
Porterud.
Yes.
Fairfield.
Yes.
Meek.
Yes, that motion carries, and we'll move to the hearing of visitors. During the hearing of visitors section of the agenda, we provide an opportunity for the public to present concerns or address issues that are not matters for consideration on the agenda. Council is unable to conduct discussion, but will listen, ask staff to look into concerns, and will provide follow-up. Please provide registration information so that staff can contact you. If you have handouts, please let us know at the beginning of your presentation. If you're unable to approach the podium, a microphone is able to be brought to you. Is there anyone who would like to present on behalf of the hearing of during the hearing of visitors? We have, I'm going to probably mispronounce this name, but Namarian, come on up. I would love to hear you pronounce your last name. I'm so sorry.
Hi guys, Nariman Ravenbash, 20735 Park Pine Lane, Katy, Texas. Hello council members. On September 7th, a short-term rental type 3 special permit application was denied by a vote of 3-2 for a property at 715 Cleveland Avenue. The property is Tinsley Place Apartments. I'm here to explain why I believe this application should be revisited. On August 24th, the Planning Commission voted 9-1 in favor of approval, with 64 notices sent to neighbors and 0 objections sent back. I mistakenly assumed that this was the end of the process, but as you all know, the council went on to make the final decision on September 7th. 3 council members voted in favor of approval. 2 voted against, and 1 council member was absent. Typically, approval requires at least 4 votes in favor, and denial requires at least 3 votes against. Neither condition was met in this case. The majority did vote in favor, but the application was denied. I don't think anyone felt especially good about that. Moving on. Why did any council member vote to deny this application? Councilmember Sabito voiced a concern about STRs operating in a multifamily apartment complex. But if that's a problem, then the STR Type 3 permit should have never existed. I believe the new STR Type 3 ordinance restrictions directly address Mr. Sabito's concerns. But applications submitted before that ordinance deadline shouldn't be voted against because they're an STR Type 3. If so, then why allow type 3 applications? Councilmember Sabito also mentioned a concern about STRs operating in a student-focused community. To be clear, Tinsley Place is not geared towards student housing and never has been. If you go to the Tinsley Place website and search student, you'll find 0 mentions of the word. Tinsley welcomes single professionals, families, and any rent-paying tenant. The benefit of Tinsley's location isn't so much that it's close to Baylor, it's that it's adjacent to downtown. It's much closer to downtown than it is to Baylor, much further from Baylor than many licensed STRs. I wish Mr. Sabito was here, but he resigned from City Council shortly after the decision. It's tough balancing 2 jobs. I take that as a reminder of how demanding public work is, and I appreciate all the time and effort that council members volunteer as civic servants. That being said, the last thing I want to do is cause a headache for anyone, but this is really important to me, which is why I drove 3 hours to be here. Before the September 7th decision, Beatrice Wharton mentioned in an email that the council may grant or deny an application request, or in some instances, refer the request back to the Plan Commission for further study. I understand why the application couldn't be granted on that day, but I don't think it should have been denied. My question to the council is this: will you please consider revisiting this application in a future session?
Thank you, sir. This is not on our agenda, so we can't comment on it, but staff will connect with you after this meeting.
Thank you, guys.
Appreciate it. Is there anyone else who would like to speak at the hearing of visitors? If not, we'll close the hearing of visitors, and I'll ask if there's any council member reports on committees, boards, commission, liaison visits. If not, are there any requests for future agenda items? If not, then we will adjourn the meeting at 6:31. Thanks, everybody.